Gates of Orchid and Iris is brought to you by listeners like you. Thank you. Remember to like, share, comment, review, and subscribe to our podcast.
Well, I more or less was referring to the Edda. You can kill them with really no consequence, and that ain't cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of want to change that just a little. Well, no, change it a lot, but
yeah.
What do you plan to change it to?
That there will actually be a lot more consequences if you take like the lowest of the low and just like slaughter them outright.
Yeah, you're obviously a demon if you do that.
Yeah, I mean,
some Cooney's gonna come at you thinking something.
But
not
exactly
attention too. Like, hey,
yeah,
how's it going?
Like roleplay wise, I'm not gonna have it like so brushed off and stuff like that. There will be certain consequences and stuff. I mean, it's not like, oh, you killed a non-human, that's cool, whatever. But people are gonna be like, oh shit.
Well, and also they're not non-humans either. They're just poor working class.
Yeah.
Which is a major difference.
Yeah, I might be assuming this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it kind of sounds like you want to group together the half-human class with the Budokamin, and just say that there's just there's a noble class and there's a working class, and that's all the segmentation needs to be right at that point.
Yeah, I mean if you guys are okay with that, that's kind of how I want to spin it. That there's the like higher class, probably like some kind of middle class, and then like the low disenfranchised class. So
yeah, the only other thing that kind of comes into play with human as well is that they are seen as spiritual and clean because they touch blood and flesh and stuff. So if can a player character or NPC be uncomfortable with that fact at least?
Yeah,
yes.
Totally.
Okay, cool.
It's just the whole, oh yeah, hey, you poor guy over there, yeah, I'm just gonna step all over you and treat you like utter garbage just because.
Yeah.
Actually, in our real life game, one of our friends, he was playing a crane, and we all had to go into the human village in Ryoko Owari, the leatherworkers' quarter, and he played it up as, wait, I have to get my shoes dirty and stuff, and the rest of us were like, oh god, just chill.
Man,
it was pretty
I don't want to mess up my J's,
Yeah, exactly. He's like, this is my favorite kimono. I don't want to be going in there.
Yeah, this is the Versace kimono. I'm a doji after all.
Kikita, but yes. Basically.
But no, that's important for another reason too. Since this is going to be I guess, mystery, true crime, whatever kind of drama. But if we're going to be doing investigations, depending on how we feel about touching blood and dead bodies and stuff, working with humans is going to be very important.
Yep.
And if that is a big something that we want to do, I would also suggest probably at least one or two in either group. Maybe playing a spiritualist if we are going to be working with dead things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what was the term used? A what?
Spiritualist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That is a good point.
Yeah.
I don't think we're talking about characters just yet, but I might be something like that.
Yeah, it sounds like there's people who are interested in the Shigenja class, or are they classes, or just, I don't know. Schools. Yeah,
same
that's
difference.
Yeah, it's kind of the same difference. Just
yeah.
Hopefully, I can get my D&D out of my L5R.
Yeah, the multi-classing is a lot more restricted in Legend of the Five Rings, for good and bad.
Oh yeah.
At least for the end city, there is a specific him that work with the Emerald Magistrate, or has worked with the Emerald Magistrate for several previous magistrates that are at our disposal to use. So at least with In-City, that's easily taken care of.
Yeah, that's a very great point, actually. There's some usually assigned torturers, too, which is another important thing to talk about for Session 0,
Pitiful.
I think.
Yeah, let's not.
Well, we'll get into that when we reach the lines and veils, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of us can agree that torture is probably going to be a veil.
Yeah,
torture's bad, kids.
Yeah, torture's bad, and we don't want to roleplay through that. So
yeah, you can interrogate in other ways.
The reason I brought up the spiritualist for the rule people, though, is that you do get the ability of ritual cleansing. So if we are still wanting to deal with that unclean because of blood dead people thing, that might help us not have to have another subset in the cast if we're going to lump it with upper class, middle class, lower class.
That is a good point.
Yeah, good flavor.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of one of the elephants in the room. So another thing that I'm going to add, and this kind of goes on the whole, let's put more folklore in here, is changing some of the monsters to actual, like, their folklore equivalent, and putting yokai in and other spirits and ghoulies and bumps of the night. And yes. And I just I'm excited about this, and I know I've talked to most of you about this already, and like how you felt about it, especially the people who like knew the lore and stuff. And I think adding just a neutral spirit entities, I'm just gonna call them yokai from this point out, it's just a good way to explore, like, not only the world that we have set up for us, but like a whole different layer of storylines that we can introduce. And I just want to know what you guys think about that.
I think that's a great idea. One of the beauties about 5th edition is that you can reskin and rename a bunch of things, including your own techniques, which is great. So a lot of invocations will have a bunch of, like, what do people who aren't Shugenja but are just spiritualists, what do they call it? What do people from outside of the country call the spell? Things like that. And then with making non-player characters, there's all these templates, and you can just apply them to, this is the yokai of the week kind of thing if you wanted to do it that way. And then you can apply like other templates on top of it to make it a little different, and you can make up your own abilities, techniques, or whatever. So there's no way that we'll be like, oh, I know what this is, because you might have tweaked it.
Yeah. And also, there are some really messed up creatures from like just all over parts of Asia that I'd like to just incorporate because they're just fun.
Yeah, there's one who can scratch the places in your back that are unreachable. Totally stupid.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about some crazy ass Japanese yokai. So there is a yokai out there that the only reason it exists is to scare people, and it looks like a person, except they then bend over, drop their pants, and there's a giant eyeball where their butthole should be.
Oh no!
I'm not even kidding. It's an actual yokai.
That's like the equivalent of playing the circle game. You know what that is? Where you put like
no idea, and I don't want to know.
Yeah, if you like the index finger and thumb, if you make that into a circle and you make somebody look at it, you get to slug them in the arm. Yeah.
As having two brothers, I unfortunately am very familiar with this game.
Let's see. There's unfortunately, there's a number of yokai that involve things about the butt and people's butts, and it's like, why? I don't know why.
They're really big on butts.
Really big on like kappa.
Yeah,
you guys know what kappa are, right? Yes. So they steal your soul by yanking it out your butt. And the way that you avoid them doing that is you fart on them.
Yeah.
Or what you can do is bow, because Kappa have this concave like bowl on their head, and it's filled with water. And if there's no water in it, they lose all their power. So if you bow, they'll bow back. All the water falls out. You can get away. Kappa are really interesting and weird and just like very strange. Very strange.
And I would like
wobble that don't fall down.
Yeah, and I'd love to just interject some of that strangeness. But that does bring up another point. Is since we are going to be airing this on things like iTunes and yeah, iTunes, which yeah, they are British in nature, and if you have a explicit warning, your content is not as further like obtainable. I would like to try to keep this. Yeah, I would like to try to keep this game to a like PG-13 at least.
But we're allowed to swear, right?
Just
yeah,
once.
like yeah,
just once.
Just keep
Once
it down
an
to
episode.
Dang it!
But it's just one person, so not all of us get one swear. It's just one between all of us.
So
Save those F-bombs for something important.
Yeah, we got to share each syllable. If we're going to agree on one bad word.
Oh, fiddlesticks. Oh, fiddle faddle.
I think we could do it communally if we say it at the same time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, if the audio is synced, it still counts as one.
Yeah.
Just one long beep, right?
Yeah. No, I'm too lazy in editing. I don't.
I saw somebody on YouTube who replaces F-bombs with a duck quacking noise, and it's the funniest thing.
Or those who remember Craig Ferguson in his Late Show, anytime he would swear, he'd put in French phrases. That was always fun.
French phrases?
Yeah, because when people
French.
swear, pardon my French and all that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyways.
Play on words, Goofy.
Yeah. He is still a very funny person, but anyways. Yeah, so there's that topic. PG-13, guys, please.
Cool.
Yeah, no problem. I don't see either of my characters' ideas being, even at their core, or maybe even on their side, things that they enjoy being problematic in that sense.
Yeah.
Also, in this game, profanity is considered rude.
Yeah. What's your
You can lose honor and glory for basically swearing at people of higher status than you.
Yeah. Yep. If I do swear, I only think one of my characters would possibly do it, and it's more just a me thing. So I would probably just end up redoing that line if I do say something out of character like that.
Oh man, was it a Hida or a Mantis?
I am playing Ikema Bard.
Oh, I meant on the swear jar character.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking which character might do it. I was like, well, the one who would probably just start just mouthing off for no reason.
Lion, of course. Lions always do.
So, with that, those are like some of the changes I want to do. Of course, there are things like minor clans and who those actually are, and I have a document for that in our shared folder that we have online. And that's probably one of the biggest major changes, depending on what version of L5 are you going for. The Hair clan are actually northwest of Ryoko Owari.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
because of convenience.
Where exactly, what clan are we in the territory of?
You're in the Scorpion territory.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
That sounds bad.
Oh, they're delightful.
So that means they're kind of closer to Unicorn Lands. Are they under the Crane clan or under the Unicorn clan in as far as like what they answer to being a minor clan?
a minor clan, they don't answer to a great clan. At least in my understanding, they don't.
Hair clans.
Yep. That could be true for this setting that we're in right now.
Yeah. And few things timeline-wise. The alliance, the three-man alliance has happened, and there's a very unhappy general out there for the Scorpion clan, and so the three-man alliance for those playing at home includes the Sparrow, the Wasp, and the Fox. So, yeah, that's happened. And I can explain that later, or just insert some kind of long explanation for listeners. But anyways, we could always go over that later. Is there any changes to, like, setting system or whatnot that you guys kind of want to do? Oh, before I go that, major change to a major clan. The Unicorn. So in regular vanilla Elf 5R, Unicorn are just a major clan with kind of a worldly background and stuff. I'm kind of expanding that, and in this day and age, they are more of a conglomerate of merchants and warriors from all outside of Rokugan, so there's a lot of more diversity.
Very cool. Okay. Does that change how Rokugan sees outsiders, or is it just, the Unicorn's really cool about that?
The Unicorns are really cool about, like, just foreigners from a different land and accept them into, like, the different families and stuff. Rokugan, not so much.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Depends on clan.
So they're accepted into the clan. Do they hold their own family name, or are they just random members of families will be Gaijin?
They actually take on a family name when they're incorporated into the Unicorn clan.
Oh man, Hero's expecting like 20 vassal families to be under the Unicorn.
I don't know, man. Those Yoda Tai are prideful. I don't know if they will just come in and take on someone else's name.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean that's something we can like kind of bang out a little bit more during the week before we really start this up.
It's no big deal. I was just curious if they held their own like actual position, or if they were just kind of scattered about.
Yeah, probably not super important for the story itself, or the question rather itself.
No, it's not super duper important, but just like, oh yeah, if you want to play like someone who's from fantasy Egypt, and where would you go for that? Well, the Unicorn clan. So
that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, kind of wanted to spice it up a little bit more. Yeah. So back to what I was saying before I had like a sudden realization I didn't talk about. Is there anything about the world and or system that you think that needs to be changed, or something we should look into, or anything like that?
Not I.
Yeah, I can't think of anything world necessarily. I do have a couple of mechanics questions, but I'd rather wait until everybody goes for any world things that they want to talk about.
Yeah, so currently Mantis Minor Clan, right? That's what it is?
Yeah, they're currently a Minor Clan.
So we're talking about what clan we want to be part of?
No, just ask.
Just world building.
Just world building and stuff. That's all. And if there's like any major flaw that you can see that you're like, well, this really needs to be changed.
Yeah, if we were playing 4th edition, I'd be asking more about like gender equality, but I don't think this newer edition has as much of an issue with it as the previous edition, like by at least a mile. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm cool with whatever gender out of all like the 30 that we have in this world. Well, it's more than that, but anyways, I'm cool with any gender that you choose. You can be non-binary. I'm pretty chill about that. So,
what about using sex as like a weapon kind of thing, like being the sexy character trademark?
Not
that I plan to be. I'm just asking.
I
kind of uncomfortable with that.
Okay. Cool.
I'm also usually not big on doing that in games.
Yeah, I always find it uncomfortable. I had a player in one of my other tables be exactly that. They were like a glorified geisha, but they would use that like every session against some poor sap, trick them.
Okay, but like, so the history lesson. Cultural thing about geisha, especially. Okay, geisha were basically professional entertainers. They would sing, they were professionals in conversation, they entertained samurai, they entertained lords. They were not prostitutes.
Exactly.
There were people who called themselves geisha who were prostitutes to appropriate the geisha culture and to bring business in.
That's very good point.
And that just stained everything.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like hostess from cabaret clubs. That's a more modern-ish, even though that's like 50 years ago, probably by now. But that's a more modern example.
What that is.
It's very similar. It's just a more updated version of it. There's clubs that gentlemen would go to, and a lady would just sit next to them, entertain them, and have polite conversation and drink and just socialize, but nothing hanky-panky went on.
Yeah,
so it's like a host club, like modern day host club.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Geisha were basically a host club, and then it got co-opted.
Pop culture happened.
More like Westerners happened, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, I've always been unhappy with people going, "Oh, geishas, they're hookers," and it's just like, no, you're just showing how uncultured you are. Just please stop.
But this game does imply there are sex workers in this world, and I usually like to portray them in a positive light, and because.
Yeah. Man, samurai need to let some steam out sometimes, whether that be drinking a whole lot of sake or having a good time. Or both.
Yeah, and it is one of the world's oldest professions, so I don't ignore it. And if somehow we get into those situations, we'll have to deal with that. Thank you for listening to Gates of Orchid and Iris. Remember to like, share, comment, review, and subscribe to our podcast. You can also support us through the listener support button on our Anchor.fm page. That's Anchor.fm/GOIL5R.